In today's quick video, we're going to go over some of the rules for found footage horror films as far as the filmmaking aspect of it. I love found footage horror films. Some of my favorites are The Blair Witch Project, The Last Exorcism, Paranormal Activity, Nightmare the Curse, and there's many others. We first need to establish what found footage means. Found footage means that the footage was found. It was discovered by someone who is presenting the material to the viewer. For example, footage could have been tapes that were found in an attic. The footage could be unaired material from a TV broadcast, and there's many other examples. But for the most part, the material is unedited unless it was edited by the person who is presenting the material to the viewer. That's a very important point to remember. Rule number 1, there should be no music. My first movie, The Goetia Diaries, is a found footage horror film, and I had several people give me feedback that they noticed there was no music in scenes and they felt like there should have been music, but that kind of breaks one of the golden rules of found footage. If the footage was found, it's obviously not a cinematic movie you're watching. This is just footage, so there would be no music. It wasn't scored. This is just raw footage, so there shouldn't be any music. Now I understand that people who are used to traditional horror movies or thrillers are used to hearing that music in the background, but it doesn't apply to found footage. Having said that, I've seen plenty of found footage movies that do still include music. And for me, this kind of pulls me out of the movie because I notice it and it doesn't really make sense as far as what we're watching. It really shouldn't be there, but I understand filmmakers will use it just to help increase the mood or tension in the scene. And for most people, I guess they're not noticing that the music is kind of breaking a rule. But for people who know, or filmmakers who know, or found footage aficionados, this may drive you nuts to hear the music. Rule number 2 is the invisible cameraman. So found footage is usually shot by a person from their point of view, the cameraman, and there shouldn't be any objective camera angles or shots, meaning we shouldn't see the person holding the camera from an objective angle, because who's holding that camera? The invisible man or woman? No one's holding that camera, so it doesn't make sense. And that's something that I've seen in Paranormal Activity sequels, and it immediately pulls me out of the movie because I know that's something that's breaking one of the rules of found footage. It doesn't make sense. But again, the average viewer might not notice this because they're so used to traditional horror film or thriller, but I notice it and it drives me nuts. Rule number 3 is why continue filming. This is something that I see come up a lot in found footage horror movie groups, like on Facebook, and I've seen it in Reddit posts, which is when the camera person or the person behind the camera is in danger, or they're being chased, or they're about to be killed, why are they still filming? Wouldn't a normal person put the camera down or try to hit their attacker with the camera, or just try to get away? Why are they still continuing to film? Why are they running towards danger? And this is a key point that's hard to overcome for filmmakers and have it make logical sense. The Blair Witch Project kind of solved this problem in their movie by saying that that's all that the character had. That's all she had left. When everything was going to shit around her, she still had her project. And that was really important to her, and it was something she could hold on to, and it still maintained some of her sanity. So that would be an example of something you could try and express in your film to explain why a character would continue filming. But it's something you need to think about because people are going to question it. In my film, The Goetia Diaries, my main character, Richard Deacon, is a vlogger who is also a narcissist, and he is obsessed with his project, which is a YouTube channel which is focused on the occult and the paranormal, and his series on the Goetia Diaries. So he has a reason to continue filming despite the fact that many people are questioning why he's so obsessed with his project. The next thing I want to talk about is not really a rule, it's just something that kind of annoys me when it comes to found footage horror films and sometimes in traditional films, and that is too much shaky cam or unnecessary shaky cam. I've seen it in movies like Wind River and The Strangers, which are traditional films, but I'll see two people just talking, having a calm dialogue scene, and the camera is just shaking everywhere. And I don't know if the DP was on cocaine that day or something, but there's no reason that camera should be shaking that much, because it pulls me out of the movie. And for found footage, it can make sense that the cameraman is shaking a little bit because most of the material is being presented as raw or amateurish or unpolished. So it's okay, but I've seen so much shaking in certain movies that I've actually gotten nauseous. And one time I actually had to leave the theater seat for a minute to go throw up. And so yeah, I don't personally like too much shaky cam. When we were making the Goetia Diaries, I really tried to keep a steady hand for the most part for scenes that didn't involve a tripod. One last thing I want to say about the found footage horror genre is that at its best, it can offer a more personal experience for the viewer, where the viewer can become more immersed in what they're watching compared to a sleek, polished Hollywood horror film that has that same blue-gray cinematography that we've been seeing since the 2000s, where all the jump scares are telegraphed and characters are getting tortured. With the found footage horror film, you could feel like you're there with the viewer and not knowing what's going to be coming around that corner, which is what I like about the genre when it's at its best. But there are a lot of bad found footage horror films, so you really got to look around for those gems. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. I have more content coming soon. I appreciate your support.